Hello, and welcome to Real Television. My name is Spencer, and we're going to be talking about A Knight's Tale. I had this on my list to do a breakdown for it, but Spirit kept pushing it back, and I'm like, well, why? Until recently, I figured out the reason why on a personal level, why I should. So I wanted to share what my insights were to the movie on a spiritual level and symbolic level, and it's definitely something that's going to help you guys as well as myself. But what's funny is that as a kid, I had a project even where I had to write about medieval times and like something that I enjoyed about learning about medieval times. And I did it about jousting because I had seen A Knight's Tale, funnily enough, as a kid in elementary school. So we had to draw it out and everything. So I'll put a picture up if I can find it. But basically, I had to draw and talk about what jousting was and what it was for and stuff like that. It was really fun. But the reason I mention that is because this movie has a soft place in my heart, and mostly because the movie itself is an awesome story, but also because Heath Ledger is awesome. Unfortunately, we did lose him. It's one of those Hollywood tragedies to lose such a talented actor. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. I'm just gonna get straight into it. It's pretty long, so I figured to just get straight into it. When I was a kid, I saw Jurassic Park for the first time and decided that I wanted to be someone who makes movies. I saw the beauty and the dream I wanted in my life. We spend so much time wishing but not doing. I spent so much time wishing and not doing. I thought that I had to wait for someone to hire me or tell me that I had the perfect delivery for a play in middle school, only to be told that I wasn't fit for the role in a way that felt like boiling water splashed onto my hands. The first time someone told me I wasn't good enough. Openly. Painfully. I spent the rest of my life avoiding it. But as I got older, I realized that it was much more painful to not at least try to shoot for the stars. Every time I thought about being in film or never having the chance, it would emotionally break me. I would have this sadness in my chest that just made me cry. I wanted it, but I felt like I had zero chance of it ever happening in any way. No matter what department it was, I just felt like it was never going to happen. What else did I have to lose, though, with what I'm doing now? With the times being what they are right now, my present circumstances being what they are, I did what William did. I saw the opportunity and I took it. I took the rest of my money and put it towards something that was calling to my spirit. I want a life where I can live and be creative, where I can pretend as my profession, even if it's just writing the story. I just wanted my hand in a larger production. Something where I could see actors and actresses I admire play the characters I wrote. Or better yet, I'd love to act myself. Or both. But then those thoughts would creep in and tell me those same things that I was told when I was younger. That you're terrible at this, or you'll never get there. Yet they mean nothing to me now. They're nothing but memories. And memories only have power over you if you let them. If you saw my previous breakdown of Alien Romulus, you'll know that fear is but a threshold. Even if you're in between a rock and a hard place like I am now, you can choose to endure for nothing or for something, and let that pressure shoot you into the sky. Like a knight thrusts another out of their saddle in a joust. As they say, when one door closes, another opens. And that's exactly why Spirit had me break this movie down. I personally believe that Spirit brought me to this very threshold. For me, Spirit is my lifeline. The only thing in existence that truly understands who I am to my core, my dreams and passions, and she's doing everything she can to help me get there. Even though I have no idea exactly how, just like William, just like his friends, they fly by the seat of their pants and risk everything. This is exactly like the feeling I am familiar with now. The music in the film also shows that rebel quality that is, in my opinion, required in order to bring your dreams to life. It's no wonder I've always related to the rebel, the outcast, or the underdog. It's no wonder everyone can relate to that. Why do you think that is? We all know what it's like to want better for ourselves, but then we sit here and do nothing. We watch these movies and we read these books about people achieving great things, and yet we go back to our mundane lives like it's not possible. I'm just one person is the typical excuse, and I can't blame you, because I used to think like that. This threshold I feel that's happening right now in my life is not for the faint of heart at all. I can't tell you how things will go. I just have to trust spirit will help in divine timing, whatever that may mean for me. As my own tarot readings and collective readings that I've aligned with have continuously and annoyingly repeated to me. We want control, but we never try and wrest it for ourselves and take our lives back. Now, if you go back to my very first breakdown, while it's recorded from a few months ago, when I wasn't able to really use this gift of prism vision, as I call it, it still shows that I valued knights as an archetype. They represent that chivalrous person that has strong values of what is right and what is wrong, and they fucking stick with it to the best of their ability. That's not to say they were perfect or ever perfect, but at least the movie version of Knights has the quality but never embodied it. It was that person that you look up to because they're a good person. That person that you love because they pull out the best in you. That person that you hate but know that there's no reason to hate them. They just mirror back to you what you want to see in yourself. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but a knight with those values, and in conjunction with the old code from Dragonheart from my first reading video, I think you can see why I used that archetype subconsciously for the majority of my life. I wanted to be that person that could be depended on. I wanted to be that person that was always helping when I could. I wanted to be that person that helped people feel good within themselves, because I saw the good in them already. But that comes with a price. To live to those standards brings in a lot of people who prey on that type of behavior when you don't know how to defend yourself from it. I believe that's why my life was the way that it was, and still is sometimes. I believe that I was meant to go through so much hardship because there really is something to be said about miracles. I think if anyone tried to live my life, they might not have made it past my teen years. I'm not joking either. If anyone had to go through what I did, I don't think they'd be able to handle it. That's not being cocky either. I know I could have had it a lot worse, but for me in those times, that was really difficult for me. I'm sure anyone could say the same about their own lives and their own hardships that they've gone through. That doesn't dismiss the fact that it was hard for each of those people, including myself. I'm also not dismissing any abuse or mental health struggles either. I've had my fair share. But when we choose to learn from those experiences, good, bad, or ugly, it makes us better people. It develops our sense of right and wrong. It develops our desire for a better world. If we keep focusing on everyone else, though, nothing changes. You have to be your own guiding light for a time, until you learn to focus that light into something that alchemizes all of that pain into something that others can use. For example, this channel, I used stories, books, movies, and music to heal. I let myself feel feelings when they came up in regard to those characters and related each of them to my own life. I live in each story I experience. I don't just watch it. I don't just use it as a distraction. It's like picking up a textbook and reading how to overcome specific things, no matter if it's fiction or not. Now, when Sir Ector is dead under the tree, that's William's first opportunity. It's a branch in the weave of fate. He could choose to be a squire to somebody else, or he could choose to be knightless, squandering the opportunity, or he could pretend to be the person he knew he was and try to change his stars, as he says later in the film. And on top of that, he only had 2 minutes to figure it out. Sometimes it comes down to those quiet, quick decisions, even if they seem minuscule. Sometimes they are the ones that make the biggest difference, such as the way we respond to someone or the way we help someone. It can either help or hinder you or them or both. It really depends. There's so many branches in the weave of fate when it comes to our decisions. It really is like that butterfly effect. The knight's shield is a stag. It has a stag on it. Stags are symbols of the in-between, that chance to change something for yourself. The crossroads. Judith Hurst on her blog, Judy's Angels and Ancestors blog, says this: Stag, therefore, brings messages around creation, being the creator that you were meant to be. He asks that you allow yourself to birth the new idea and impregnate it with life to become a full-blown project. So William must make a choice here. Does he forfeit the chance, or does he take up the lance? You see what I did there? The gold coloration of the stag as well, it shows wealth, success, the material, but it also shows the enlightened mind, the generous spirit. It basically tells his character to take the chance. It's a subconscious traffic sign on the road of life telling his mind that he needs to take this chance. It leads him to a life he never thought would actually happen. Speaking of which, the actor playing Roland, Mark Addy, would later go on to play a role with the stag as his house sigil in the Game of Thrones. I think that was a sign in itself for him. I wonder if he knows that. Much like I've been following my own signs and synchronicities. I followed and obeyed what Spirit asked me to do, and now I'm at that threshold, the finish line, as I've been told. I just know. It's hard to explain, but I followed my road signs, and like I said, I'm at that finish line. The golden ticket is nearly here. I just need to actually do the damn thing and see what happens after. Put the video out and see what happens. Before I started the breakdown behind the scenes, this feeling of knowing this one was different struck me. I had delayed starting it all day because of this feeling in my stomach. The feeling of butterflies flitting about in there, having the time of their lives. But I just knew this was different. The feeling of my heart beating heavily, the quickness of my breath, all of it so subtle I would have missed it had I not been tuned in. Speaking of which, as soon as you tune in, those voices come back. Just like Roland tries to remind William that you have to be of noble birth to compete. But William has luck and God on his side. The fact that he can't take his helmet off when receiving the prize at the end was a stroke of immense luck and safety. Sometimes the things that hit us the hardest are not rejection, but protection, as the saying goes in the spiritual community. It's that rebel energy of saying, no, I want this, and I'll be damn sure I get it. And now that you've told me no, I'll do it despite you. That's the kind of energy I had when I was growing up, especially when it came to writing. I believe I said this in a previous breakdown, but in case this is your first video and you don't feel like watching another hour video, I'll tell it again. My English teacher in middle school was one of my other bullies. I had wanted to get into the AA English class because I felt that was important to me. Not because I needed credit for school, but I wanted a challenge. And when I went up to this teacher to ask how to get in, she laughed in my face and told me, oh, you'll never get in there. It really irked me to the point that I applied anyway and got in. Then one day, this AA English teacher asked us to write creative short stories. And I was like, oh, hell yes, let's do this. And I wrote one and tried to keep it short because my tendency was to write longer stories like these breakdowns that I do. But the next day, she handed it back to us, and on mine, she said to come and see her. I thought I did something wrong, but she actually had the biggest smile on her face and told me that I should enter into the district writing competition. And so excitedly, I asked how I should prepare. She told me all the details, and I got to work. The funny thing is, though, about this particular AA English teacher was that she was rumored to be the toughest teacher in the school. She was strict and very by the book, but when she would see me, she had the biggest smile on her face every time after that competition. Because guess what? I won the competition at my grade level in my category. It was and still is my favorite accomplishment of my life, among other things. I say this story because William is doing just that. He doesn't care that he isn't an earl, a duke, a prince, or even a king. He doesn't care he isn't of royal blood. He's doing it because he wants to, but also because he needs to, both for food and for money. It was a blessing in disguise for William and also his friends, even if they didn't see it yet. The song that plays, called We Will Rock You by Queen, is apparently an anthem about empowerment and endurance while talking about the harsh reality of life and the journey of growing up, which is fitting for the scene because of its ties with what William is doing. It's rebellious, but it also has that flair of entering a new world that he has no idea how to compete in yet. It's exciting, but it's also scary. You know you're in for a world of pain, but you keep going despite the fear. The horse he rides seems to be an Andalusian golden horse with black stalks on its legs, very reminiscent of Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron. They look brown according to Google, but the name is important. In spirituality and in symbolism, it means the coming of a spiritual manifestation. They're symbolic of the rising sun and are masters of action, according to spirit-animals.com. In Native American cultures, they also symbolize the concept of death and the willingness to die in some Native American traditions, or a symbol of prosperity and good news. In Hinduism, a gold/yellow horse can represent strength, nobility, and spiritual merit. So in other words, this was meant to be fated, the death of one life and the beginning of another, literally and figuratively. That was the type of horse they used in that particular scene. In the scene where he finally starts the joust, the horse looks more on the brown side, so I looked up the meaning of that as well, just in case. It symbolizes trusting your instincts and trusting your inner guidance to find success. It also means earthy wisdom, grounding, stability, and reliability. So, with the film crew using specific horses for specific scenes, I think that says a lot about it as well. Using the golden horse first means taking the action to change your life, but then the brown horse being used after that means that you ground yourself in your decision in the physical. The act of doing, the divine masculine. The divine feminine would be the golden horse, making the decision itself. His lance being gold and green makes me think of Archangel Raphael, that archetype. The archetype of healing and the archetype of the divine. The colors together represent a harmony of thriving abundance, prosperity, growth, and spiritual awakening. Combined, they show achieving wealth and material success through spiritual growth and purity of heart, which is gold, leading to a spiritually enlightened and abundant life. So the actions and decisions he took and the symbolism combined, he's literally taking the power back to achieve greatness. He's literally taking his dream and doing something with it. He wants that stability and he wants that success in addition to material success. He's suiting up and doing what needs to be done in order to do just that. He's embodying the person he wishes to be and embodying the life that person would have. Just like I'm doing. Granted, I still want to have a YouTube channel where I talk about this stuff, but with my dream of filmmaking, it might take a back seat. But for now, this is how I'm aiming for my own dreams. I've seen the colors green and gold everywhere myself, during the entire journey without knowing what it meant. I just noticed how much it popped up for me. Some may say that I trained myself to see it, but I know for a fact I didn't. I didn't go out of my way to see those colors together. I remember passing by a smoke shop where I used to get my vape juices from, and there was a gold and green van sitting there every time I passed by it, on my way home from work. Yet I would also see it in movies like this or in YouTube videos. It just sort of followed me. The point with this is that sometimes fate has other plans for us. Just like how William's helmet was unable to be taken off, and just like his fate was changed that day just for choosing himself, choosing his dreams and his needs along with the people supporting him. The opponent he faces at the beginning has a horse that wears a red cloak. That symbolizes passion, courage, life force, vitality, and power. Everything that William will need to face and embody in order to truly find himself, or truly free himself from poverty and achieving success. The fact that his first one he had to face was courage by being willing to get hurt is embodying being a force to be reckoned with. Someone who never gives up even in the face of a perceived dead end, pun intended. The golden peacock feather he is gifted afterward symbolizes immortality and resurrection, beauty, grace and divinity, wisdom and omniscience, something like that, royalty and nobility and renewal. The very definition of a death and rebirth, in my opinion. You go through a lot of those when you start your journey. I know I've had my fair share and will continue to do so. People should always be willing to change in ways that improve their own lives, as well as for the greater good. The color gold again representing material success for one, but again showing that divinity had a hand in this. I know my own journey has shown that there will be some sort of divine timing in it, but I don't know when or how it will show up. I know I've said it before in my other videos that something big was coming, but now it feels imminent. I can't explain that enough. Divinity has been very clear about this part of my journey. Something amazing is starting soon, and I'm the main character in this story, just like William is at the start of his own. When William counts out their silver coins, it comes out to the number 13 for outfitting and training, as he says. 13 adds up to the number 4, so I'll break down both numbers in numerology. 13 means transformation, evolution, and new beginnings, representing a departure from old patterns to embrace growth and renewal. It combines the foundational energy of 1, which is leadership and initiative, with the creative, expressive energy of 3, which is joy and optimism, leading to a powerful force for innovation and change. While culturally feared, 13 is a spiritually significant number, embodying feminine energies, resilience, and the ability to rebuild from the ground up, ultimately empowering an individual's spiritual journey. The number 4 means it's associated with the 4 corners of our being: the physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental. It urges us to pour effort into each of these areas to achieve overall stability and strength. By nurturing these aspects of ourselves, we can take risks and pursue our goals with confidence, and that you are protected according to howstuffworks.com. So combining this means that, again, like I said before, he's starting a new journey, and although it seems like a bad idea, hence the number 13, it's actually not, because it leads to stability and success. They've already gotten a taste of it, a preview, if you will, with the silver coins. Silver is symbolic of intuition, purification, wisdom, and the feminine. Its reflective quality mirrors introspection and self-reflection, fostering emotional and spiritual growth. Silver is also linked to the moon, embodying feminine energies, emotional depth, and the subtle illumination of hidden truths. It can represent wealth, prestige, and protection against negative energy, making it a versatile color of both sophistication and inner power, according to Google. So, combining all of these, what I gather is that he's protected to chase his dreams, even if it seems unlikely. He's chasing his dream of becoming a knight, which we later learn in the movie. But the silver shows that he knows who he is. He knows his heart and what he wants, and he sees the opportunity. He seizes it, and he's talking his friends into it, that he knows he both needs and wants in his life while he does it. The divine feminine is doing just that, going within enough to know your heart's desire and chase it with every fiber of your being, just as I've been doing. I've been doing the work. I've been relentless. I've used everything I've got to get this going, no matter what. Every waking moment I've spent making a video of some sort. Even if I'm scared or worried, I still stick to it. I've been shown enough to know that this will work out for me. It always does and always has, whether I knew it or not. The dead man in the back, though, in the next scene with the 3 ravens are significant here too, as he tries to talk them into doing this with him. The ravens symbolize yet again the transformation and change from one life into another. Specifically, 3 ravens signifies transition or a significant message or opportunity. But it all depends on your perspective. The fact that William is the one facing these symbols and not the other 2 shows that his perspective is focused on the future no matter the outcome, but shooting for the best outcome possible. Yet the other 2 characters, Roland and Watt, are focused on immediate concerns, which is valid, I will say, but they don't see how this will work. They don't have the dream or the vision or the skill, but William does. All they need to do is have faith in William's abilities. They don't think it can happen, though. They turn around and point at the dead body. They see the significance of that, and it scares them away, wanting that comfort of being a peasant in the case of the movie. Death doesn't scare William away. He sees it as his chance at achieving his dream, but he realizes that he needs the help in order to do it. Sometimes you need that help in order to continue onward, depending on the size and scale of that dream. For me, despite the times we're living in as a trans person, I still want this. I realize that I very much could die, or at the very least be detained if the wrong laws come into effect. But I'm taking the chance anyway. I see that my voice could change my life. I see that it could affect others too. I'm not only doing this for me, but I'm doing this so that others can heal too, and realize their own potential, both in the mundane and the spiritual, using their own favorite stories. For me, I've always gotten that message in my own tarot readings, dreams, and synchronicities that someone or multiple someones will need to help me, which is why I've always gotten the message that divine timing is important. That next scene, when William moves so that the sky is behind him, notice there's nothing but blue skies. It's almost like the universe said, it's nothing but up from here. Take the chance. Yet his friends tried to beat him and take their shares of the silver, but they couldn't win. William fought for his dream, even when it came down to his friends. Sometimes you have to either cut off certain people, friends or family, and move. Sacrifice anything for it within reason. The part where William is practicing hitting the shield and Watt is holding it and shaking reminds me how when we are chasing something, we are sometimes afraid of the thing we want, like success. The more we're afraid, the less likely we are that we'll hit our target. We chase it away. Plus, the fact that they are practicing in the forest, though, shows they are grounded in practicality and in spirit. They have to hide that they're peasants practicing for a noble sport, but they also know that they can do this, but are mostly riding on William's confidence and vision. It's funny though, because I see Watt representing the ego, and Roland representing the unrelenting spirit to keep going, the logical side, the wisdom. Plus, the fact that they are having fun with it when William taunts them like ponies is hilarious to me. The next scene though, when Paul Bettany, aka Geoffrey Chaucer, which is actually a famous writer in real life, comes by stark naked on the road. It represents being completely bare to the truth, just as William and his buddies did as he passed by. William getting off the horse so that Watt could ride, already tipping off Joffrey that they aren't actually nobility. They need each other. The truth of who they both are show that they can help each other. In addition to William's face when he mentioned patents of nobility, and when he pretended to be a king back to them. When William threatens Joffrey, it shows that he will defend himself against those who would see his dream dashed upon rocks. Joffrey recognizes himself in William, but he also sees a way to get clothes back. When they realize they need Joffrey in return, Watt, aka Andy Tudyk, was going up to him and threatening him with very little words, which is hilarious to me because he's threatening a writer with words, and he's sitting there trying to decipher what Watt is saying if he betrays them. It's really funny to me. Then, when he does actually write the patent of nobility that William needs, it shows that they wouldn't have been able to get further than the first joust without him. Divine intervention. The fact that they were traveling at relatively the same pace and the same road as him at the same time is proof enough of that in my mind. The next scene, when William's eyes fall upon Jocelyn, the foxy lady as he put it, it shows that when you are chasing dreams and doing the best you can, fated love follows. Not always, but for some, if that's what you're looking for, like I am, it will find you. The next scene shows why I made the video about my painting titled False Prophet. The priest tells Jocelyn that she should pray to be ugly as she ages so that she can better serve God. What kind of a God is that? One that wishes you to be in servitude without happiness? No thank you, personally. Plus, the fact that he shows his rings to her and waits for her to kiss it is like showing the disdain of other people's lives and how they choose to live it. Not only that, but he thought he would get a kiss from her probably, and was annoyed to find that she just liked his jewelry. Jocelyn's white church clothes depict what I believe to be two lions facing outward, but the heads facing each other. It represents symbolically of courage, nobility, and strength. So it'll take that for William to court her. It also shows that he's noble in heart, but their meeting was only a glimpse of what's to come. Now moving on to where William finds out that Joffrey has a gambling problem. He doesn't judge harshly. He sees it as a hurdle he didn't foresee. He understands what it's like to live in poverty. He hadn't felt how it is for Joffrey at his level of poverty. But poverty is poverty, forced or not. And William vows to pay the debt for him. Sometimes you have to give people grace, but sometimes you also have to put boundaries up so that people can't continue to ask for help. If they do, they see you as an easy target. That reminds me of some people I knew who I considered friends, found family even. Let's just say that I helped them a lot with money or food or whatever, but when I asked for help, they were nowhere to be seen. Or they would say, no, we don't have money, even if it was just like $20. So much so that I went into debt for them and my credit took a hit. Granted, it wasn't all their fault. I used it when I shouldn't have, but still, I ended up having to use that credit card for when I was in between jobs and bills still needed to be paid. Back then, I didn't have the boundaries that I have now for something like this scene. They didn't have a gambling problem, but they would gamble away my money all the time, offering to pay me back, and it would just never come back. So I washed my hands of it all and just started saying no to a lot of things when it came to money. Then they started gambling my time, and so I had to start saying no to that too, which hurt me because I really didn't want them to be out of my life because I loved them as family, and I really did enjoy spending time with them. But eventually, Spirit removed them from my life. They chose to move to another state, so that allowed me to see the toll it took on me. Spirit was trying to show me this and what I needed to do to make sure that didn't happen again. The next scene with the sword fight event, to me, this means two competing truths. This is when doubt comes in. The right shoulder pauldron being too tight to block, like he says, shows that sometimes action alone can't fix things. Sometimes your ego takes a hit and shows how important this is for not only yourself, but for others in your life. If the nobles found out that his whole squad were peasants, they would be subject to death or jail. It just shows that he must roll with the punches, or in this case, sword blows. The yellow on the competing knight laced with red symbolizes divine presence, power, and spiritual fire in traditions like Hinduism and Christian worship, also symbolizing the warmth of the sun and divine love. So to me, this is Spirit's way of reminding him that he's loved and that he can do this. He just has to fight for it. Which reminds me that I've come a long way myself. I've been that person who was a doormat. I was that person who wasn't confident. I've been that person who got into money trouble. I've been that person who dreams big but can't seem to change his stars. Only when I decided to fight for myself did I even think it was remotely possible. Only when I started healing within did I get to this point, with Spirit and my Spirit team as my guide, of course. The lance that he has after the sword fighting portion is showing the colors blue and yellow, which symbolizes the growth of faith and a flourishing spiritual journey, where divine wisdom, blue, leads to joy, hope, and revelation, which is yellow, William is getting to the point that he can see the blessings of how he got to this point they are all at. He has grown hope where there was barely a whisper of it before. His faith in his dream is growing. In his quest to become a knight and win, he meets a blacksmith who is also a woman, using her anger to get what he needs done. It's not right, but she immediately used that negative energy and alchemized it by doing the work anyway to prove a point. Not that she needed to, but it's showing how good she is at her work and her faith in it. She knows how good she is, and he gives her that chance to do so, even if it wasn't in the form she expected, such as paying for the work. The next scene where Count Adhemar shows up and tries to talk with Jocelyn, his squire has the emblem of a boar on his chest. Looking up that meaning, it says that it symbolizes aspects of ferocity, strength, fertility, and warrior spirit in Celtic or Celtic cultures, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but also representing evil, lust, and gluttony in a negative biblical context. Boars can also symbolize stubbornness and courage, the need to face challenges head-on, or even the cycle of rebirth in other traditions. The yellow and black colors reflect a message of hope, suggesting one can find beauty and inner light even in challenging times, or a call to embrace both the light and dark aspects of life. So both of these definitions are an embodiment to his character. He is the final threshold for William. He is the balance William needs to conquer in order to truly earn his title of knight, despite being given the title later in the film by Prince Colville. Later, when William speaks with Adhemar for the first time, his first pushback is with laughter, started by Adhemar. It's his first brush with doubt, although it isn't enough to push him away from Jocelyn or his dream. It's symbolic of not giving up immediately when there's any amount of resistance. Jocelyn senses Adhemar's character as he does this, though. It mirrors that you always show exactly who you are when you respond or react in specific ways. At first, she thought he was charming, but when she saw how he reacted with William, he exposed who he really was, how much of a bully he was. It shows what end of the spectrum he's on in the sense of spirituality. He's on the lower end of the spectrum, constantly feeling the need to defend territory, survival instinct, reacting harshly to perceived threats. Symbolically, the hawk at the end of that interaction as he stares at Jocelyn with the little helmet on its head shows this. He doesn't see higher perspectives. He just sees what's in front of him. Whereas William isn't afraid to see past it. This is symbolic of when Adhemar and Jocelyn are talking about how William doesn't protect his eyes as he jousts, keeping his eyes on the target like a true hunter, like Jocelyn says. We've got to keep our eyes on the targets when it comes to spirituality as well. We can't be afraid to see things as they are, but also to see past them. You have to take both into account. If you take your eye off the prize, at the very end, you risk everything. You risk the future you desperately want. Prince Colville withdrawing and saying he's never not finished before shows that even if you think you are skilled and the best of the best, doesn't mean someone with more tenacity won't be able to beat you. It just mirrors back to us that it doesn't matter who you are. If you have enough tenacity and willingness to grow and heal, you can do anything you set your mind to. But we hear that saying and think, oh, well, of course, that's easy. But then you go and try it, and you realize it's not as easy as it's made out to be. You have all of these little hurdles, and you think to yourself immediately, I can't do it. You must persist, even when the doubts try and kick you down again. There is a balance you must have in your mind, much like finding the cradle with the lance. Finding that perfect balance so that you can hit the other knight barreling for you. The positives and the negatives of who you are inside yourself and what you need to heal, so that you can alchemize your pain into power. Reminding yourself every time that your doubts creep in that you can do this. Remind yourself how far you've come and prove to yourself that miracles can happen. You can change your stars. When Adhemar calls mercy weakness, it shows that your enemies feel threatened by you even just with how you act. They can't understand what it means to be merciful to yourself and others. They aren't merciful with themselves, so how can they expect to know how to be merciful to others? Like I've said in previous videos, it all starts within. And you can see this in politics or family structures or what have you, but especially in politics right now. Later, Roland tells William the same thing, but in a different way. That love is a distraction. He says, without your heart, you cannot win. It's an oxymoron in a way, though, because without his heart, he can't win, yes, but the heart can carry more than one target. You just have to prioritize depending on the circumstance. For example, maybe someone is a parent and you get a call about your kid needing to be picked up because they've been beat up by some bullies in school. You prioritize your child, right? Like, what parent says, oh, get over it, and goes back to work? Granted, I'm not a parent, but that's just one example I could think of. Now, when we cut to Jocelyn talking with her friends, she knows exactly why Adamar wants to win the joust. She says he's won many tournaments. He wins them for himself and for his own honor. So it's nothing to say that he wins them for me. And when her friend says he wants to speak to her again, she knows that's bullshit too, by saying, not to hear a word I say. Adamar wants his woman silent, but that she would have William earn her heart for not trying to win her. She admires him for simply seeing her as she is. The way she said Adamar wants his woman silent reminds me of how that can ripple out into politics, for example. Just like today, with the level of misogyny and laws coming into place to try and take women's rights away, in addition to trans rights, the reason those become law in the first place is because of the twisted perspective I mentioned in previous videos, that everything must be controlled because it's resisting what they want. It's the entitlement and the perceived lack of safety that rules over them, making them act that way, when it's not really anything making them do anything. It's their perception of the world, the unhealed parts of them ruling their minds, saying to themselves subconsciously, I must rule over others in order to feel safe, and that being exploited by those in power. Because Jocelyn sees that William sees her for who she is, she gives him her token to ride with as he jousts, and finally gives him her name, giving William even more reason to pursue his dream and embody it. But he is going against Adamar, and like I said, he is the final threshold, yet neither of them know it yet. His all-black armor symbolizes both positive and negative aspects of the color. Black is a complex color because it can symbolize both the best and the worst aspects of life. It acts as a powerful neutral that can intensify the emotions of whatever it surrounds, leading to its diverse and sometimes contradictory spiritual meanings, according to Google. So in this way, his armor shows all of the negative aspects of life. William is literally going against everything he was told was not going to work out in regards to his dream of becoming a knight. His black horse also symbolizes this, but in a different way. The black horse represents both bad and good things, just like the color itself, but combined with the symbolism of the horse, it shows up differently. A black horse symbolizes famine and scarcity, economic hardship, divine judgment, strength and endurance, mystery and the unknown, inner power and guidance and support, according to Google. So in a way, William is fighting his own negativity in addition to an actual person embodying that very behavior, but on a large scale. He's having to go against his doubts that he will never become the knight he wants to be and will always be a peasant and live with hardly any material success. Adamar embodies the cruelty that William could have become had he let himself believe that. He embodies the scarcity mindset, the need to defend territory, people, and status, to win at any cost. It's giving the Seven of Swords in tarot. So the Seven of Swords signifies deceit, manipulation, and strategic evasion, often highlighting a need to use cunning and wit to outsmart an obstacle or situation rather than confronting it directly. It can also warn of dishonesty, theft, or a cunning enemy. But it can also represent the courage to pursue unconventional strategies or the need to be more self-reliant when facing challenges. That's the definition that I found online. So basically, William needs to think differently in order to overcome this particular enemy, which we see at the end. The flag that has a lamb on it with a green background is symbolic in this scene of divine connection and spiritual light. It also shows that the elevation of the weak and humble is imminent, but it also signifies that longing for authenticity, peace, and a desire to connect with something larger than oneself, encouraging compassion and vulnerability, according to Google, when it comes to personal mythologies. Hence, when his helmet is blown off with Adamar's lance, and it reminds him of when he was a child, it challenges him. He's asking himself, do I really want this? Can I really do this? It goes right back to the first time someone laughed at his dream to become a knight, the man in the stocks. The fact that Adamar picks up the gift given to William by Jocelyn shows that he just wanted to prove a point to himself mostly, but also to show how strong he is, when in reality, when he was threatened by any amount of resistance, he recoiled and it manifested as anger, showing that he really didn't have the power at all, just unbridled rage at the slightest misstep from others, demanding perfection when it doesn't exist. William changes that. Going back to Adamar's sigil, I didn't realize there was a crown beneath the boar. What I gather from that is that he actually hasn't earned the place he's in. He was born into power. The crown symbolizes that, but it also reminds me of the Ace of Swords, my own personal card that I feel connected to, where the crown symbolizes victory, success, intellectual triumph, and royal authority over one's own life and thoughts. It represents the successful outcome of using clear, decisive mental power, a journey of ambition, and the achievement of great feats through focus and determination. He hasn't done anything other than have a big ambition to win. He hasn't had to fight for anything in his life, other than the wars that he was fighting, which war is never good in my opinion. So when shown beneath the boar, it shows to me that he doesn't care about honor or sacrifice. So when combined with the boar, which means what I said before, it also means conflict, misfortune, or the wild, untamed aspects of nature that are beyond human control. With the boar being above the crown, it also symbolizes that he thinks he is above even God, essentially. He thinks that brute strength alone will win out. He thinks deceit is a tool that will serve him well. It may have in the past, but he meets his match when it comes to William. Even when it comes to William's friend, Joffrey, he feels emboldened by William. He's inspired to finally be better because he threatens the debt collectors and they laugh, not realizing the weight of the words. He's even emboldened the lady blacksmith because she actually went to see him joust and she offered to teach him how to dance. It just goes to show how being yourself and chasing your dreams emboldens others to do the same. Even when William is asked by Adamar to show them the dance from his country and Jocelyn helps him, it emboldens her to defy Adamar in her own way, thereby finally creating the initial spark between her and William. Later, when William gets his new armor and jousts Prince Edward admires that he still rode even though he knew he was a prince. It later shows why he knights William later. It goes to show that when you stick to what you believe in no matter what, you earn respect from those who wouldn't think would give it to you. When William loses the respect from Jocelyn, though, it mirrors that we can't let our emotions get the better of us. Otherwise, it risks everything. It shows that William is losing it because he knows he's so close to victory, but the one person he wants to defeat is blocking him from it. But in doing so, he disrespects Jocelyn and yells in her face. But moving away from that, when Adamar sees that William is winning every event in the tournament, it shows a sigil of 3 black phoenixes. Black phoenixes are profound here. It symbolizes profound transformation, resilience, and a courageous journey through darkness to achieve a powerful rebirth. William is showing that someone that comes from nothing can be something. It shows all the hardship he went through wasn't for nothing and it threatens him. But through all the hardship William has faced, this love for Jocelyn still carries him in ways he didn't see. He writes that letter to her with the help of his friends and their own love experiences because they care about him and want him to be happy, because they are happy too. But when she asks William to lose instead of win the tournament, it challenges him. She asks him to show that he really is doing this for her and not for himself, at least not fully. She wants him to prove that he isn't like everyone else. She's asking him to show that he is still grounded, that he respects himself and others. By winning, it only proves that he is just as bad as Count Adamar in her mind. Sometimes, when we chase our dreams, we forget where we came from, what it means to struggle, and why we even started chasing our dreams in the first place. It challenges William to realize his own power that yes, he could definitely win, and she knows this too, but she challenges him to show how much he values himself and her. I say it challenges his own self-worth because it's gone to his head. It's become his foundation. He thinks he has nothing without winning. It's even affecting his friends. Joffrey saying, "God, I'm good," after talking up William. It's showing it's gone to his head too. The divine feminine parts of us all ask us to do things that aren't logical sometimes. It's better to do them anyway, within reason, of course, because at that point we've gained humility and more fervor to pursue our dreams. We remember our why. That's why he fights so hard after taking all those blows and then having her say, okay, win for me. Because now it gives him so much more strength to win. When William says later that he's not worthy of a prize, when Jocelyn comes to visit him in his tent, he realizes that he forgot where he came from. He forgot that he has lied about who he is to her, but not fully. He has proven he has the skill of a knight and the heart of one, but not the title. He feels bad for lying to her, but when she asks if people call him William, he doesn't deny it. The name William means resolute protector or determined guardian, so in a way his own name means he protects what he wants. He protects his own dreams. His mind is his weapon. So when William says his father told him to take the bad with the good, it was more about remembering to balance within when the good and the bad happens to us, based on a previous scene showing his childhood yet again. It feels like it happens to us, but in reality, events that unfold in our lives just push us in directions we should go rather than just being good or bad events. We need to use them as divine directions. It's like a graph with X and Y, but it shows us the secret Z axis. The good and the bad being directions, but the Z is you, showing you where to go when X or Y happens and how we choose to react. Depending on how you react, it moves us in different directions within the graph, but when you look at it from a higher perspective, it shows exactly how that affects your life and trajectory. When remembering the past, when William's father sent him away for 7 years, the number 7 in medieval times was connected with divinity, but it was also connected with the 7 deadly sins, according to Google. It was seen as something to be overcome. But in spirituality, it also means completion, spiritual awakening, and significant transformation. This symbolic duration often encourages a deeper understanding of oneself, leading to release from limitations and preparation for an abundant harvest of blessings. It's a time of spiritual awakening. So like I said earlier, all of the hardship he endured, including being an apprentice to a knight, showed him all that he needed in order to rise above it, to resist that temptation to give up and give in, and he did so with flying colors. When he was faced with Sir Ector then, he asked William if he was afraid of him, and he shook his head. It showed Sir Ector that he already overcame the first hurdle when it came to him, the first hurdle being fear. He then had that brush with fear again when Prince Adamar embarrassed him. Notice that I've said his first hurdle or struggle with X thing during this whole essay. I thought it was a mistake, but upon reflection, if you think about it, every time we get past those hurdles, it comes back around, and we feel it like we felt it the first time. We remember what it feels like when we do introspection, and we then know how to conquer that fear when it comes in that form. It gets easier with time, but the way it presents itself is different each time. You never see the same thing twice. It's like lightning, like many tower moments throughout your life. You have a choice in how you react to it, though. When William runs back to his father going back across the river, he says he's afraid. His father replies, "Of what?" And William says that he is afraid he won't know the way back home. And his father replies, "Don't be foolish, William. You just follow your feet." It shows that home is where your heart is and what you choose to believe. Even here, the fear presents itself differently, and he's forced to confront it by his father leaving him with Sir Ector. Count Adamar later, when the World Championship commences, he basically threatens William and Jocelyn that he will have her. What he's really saying in my mind is that he doesn't actually have any power, that William will not be able to stop him or win the tournament. People pick up on the tournament and the women portion of what he's saying, but between the lines is the most important in my opinion. He's basically trying to shove doubt in his face and say, you weren't meant to win this. And because you weren't meant to win, you mean nothing. He's trying to use that against William, trying to get in his head, and unfortunately it works for a moment. When William goes back to visit his father, though, that's what really makes things crumble. It gives Adamar a reason to use against him. It goes to show that you must remember where you came from, but don't let anyone use it against you. When people use your past against you, it shows more about them than it does about you. It shows that they are still stuck there, stuck in old wounds or stuck in their old perspective, whatever the case may be. Of course, that's a case-by-case thing, but that's for another video. That's no way to live, though. But during this visit, he finally makes a full circle in his journey. He comes to tell his father that he's made it. He's made a name for himself, that he finally changed his stars. It shows that we can always achieve our deepest desires, especially when done for the right reasons. Even when things feel like they're falling apart, they aren't. It's just the final threshold. It's the final test. When you let people see you for who you truly are, it can be terrifying. It can make you feel like you need to run. Just like William is told by all of his friends that he should run after Adamar finds out he's not of noble birth and spreads that news like wildfire. That's sort of how I'm feeling right now at the time of recording, because I feel like I'm making a fool of myself. But I know there's got to be something good at the end of this tunnel. Otherwise, Spirit probably would not have led me this direction. I've seen it in the clouds, the bugs, and my heart. I can't let this go. I've seen the synchronicities. There's too many synchronicities that have happened in my life for this not to be real. Just like William can't let go of his dream to become a knight. He refuses to run. He goes down as the man that he is, the knight that he is in his heart. The love he has for himself and his friends outweighs the fear. In my own readings and in collective ones, I've heard that people might find my journey hard to believe, or that my blessings will seem like I did something illegal, just like William has found out. And Adamar says, he that strives to touch a star oft stumbles at a simple straw. And in what world could you have ever beaten me? He thinks that he did something illegal. And in this world, it was illegal. Not that doing illegal things is ever right, but William followed his heart. He followed his desires. Nothing is wrong when we let ourselves dream, but it shows that some rules were made to be broken. Then, as William is in the stocks, Prince Coville comes out of hiding in his little outfit and says, "What a pair we make, huh? Both trying to hide who we are, both unable to do so. Your men love you, and if I knew nothing else about you, that would be enough. But you also tilt when you should withdraw, and that is knightly too." That in itself is profound to me. It speaks to my own heart and in my own pursuits. The pursuit of filmmaking, the pursuit of acting, the pursuit of finally feeling free to create and to express, to let creativity be my only job in whatever form it takes. When he commands to release William, he knights him, finally giving the title he was missing so William could compete again. Now, when he's finally facing Adamar, the lance he carries shows black and green stripes lengthwise. Those colors create a contrast between spiritual growth and hidden strength, or the cyclical nature of life and death, representing balance, transformation, or the integration of light and shadow within a spiritual journey, according to Google. He's integrated both parts of himself, the origin and the future, the hard times and the good times, realized his worth as a person, and because of that, Prince Coville saw it too. He saw himself in William. During the fight against Adamar, William takes a blow with a tipped lance, the deception showing itself, the deceit and cunning of opposition, the strength of negativity, the hardest part of any journey. Facing your fear. He's wounded, but he fights on. He doesn't quit. Just like any one of you who's watching this right now should never quit, no matter what, no matter your dream, no matter how big or small it may seem to you. Because your dreams matter to everyone else too. They just don't know it yet. You may inspire someone else, or show someone that they matter in doing what you do. It's not always about you. It allows this process to happen over and over and over again, for someone to go from nothing to something. It allows them to find themselves and realize their own power, their own strength. That's partially why I'm doing what I'm doing now. It's not just for me. So when William tells Watt to lash the lance to his arm, he knows it's suicide, but he wants to prove a point, for one, and two, he's just gotten incentive because Jocelyn and his own father is there now at the stadium. He needs to prove himself for them, not for himself anymore. He uses them as fuel in his mind despite his injury, and wins. He overcomes his fear, his last true hurdle. You have to use all of your willpower in your mind to overcome this obstacle. Even Joffrey says afterward, all human activity lies within the artist's scope. It's absolutely true. Like I said with my previous videos, stories are a way to explore certain scenarios and how we can learn from them, like textbooks on human behavior and the human condition. It's just up to us that we actually sit down and learn from it with an open mind and an open heart. Otherwise, it's just a story. So to round this all out, your heart will tell you what your dreams are, and you must protect them as much as possible. Don't let people threatened by your tenacity for achieving that dream be drowned out by other people's negativity and their own relationship with themselves. Don't let other people's fear of success ruin yours. You just have to have the courage to see the opportunity when it arrives and go for it. But the best way to start is to start within. Change your perspective. Otherwise, you're fighting everyone else and yourself to get what you want and truly deserve. You never know. You might just be meant to win. You might actually change your stars. Alright, so yeah, that was the breakdown for A Knight's Tale with Heath Ledger. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys learned something from it. Let me know if I missed any other symbolic takes that I didn't include in the video, because I definitely probably did. I am always open to learning, so let me know. And with that being said, just remember to keep your minds and your hearts open. Peace.